Welcome to the Mindfully Masculine podcast with Charles and Dan, where we take a conscious, holistic, and direct approach to relationships, mental health, and self-improvement. For additional content, visit our website at mindfullymasculine.com. And to interact with us, our guests, and your fellow listeners, join the Mindfully Masculine group on Facebook.
Good morning, Charles. How are you?
Hi, Dan. I'm well. How are you?
I'm well as well.
How's life?
Life is good. Life is really good. Yeah.
Really good. All right.
It's really good compared to how it started out last week. So, yeah.
Yeah, last week started rough.
It started rough and it kind of continued to get rough because I was operating without a plan.
Yeah, I know how that can be. How's the plan formation and implementation going? What'd you do to fix that?
I got organized. I took stock. I took a step away from everything that was overwhelming me.
Okay.
And said, hey, listen, I need to get my arms around this. And I stopped. I felt like, I was being pulled in a million different directions all at the same time, mostly by my own brain.
Right.
A lot of it was not actually people. It was my thoughts about the situations.
Sure.
So I took a walk and that gave me enough space to go, listen, I'm just letting stuff ruminate, cycle around. I wasn't, it was through like Wednesday and I hadn't prepared my bullet journal about any of my appointments or anything else that I needed to do. And so I just said, okay, look, I'm just going to take a few minutes and just get an assessment of what all these commitments that I need, all these tasks that I have to do, and get my arms around it. And had what I thought was a very uncomfortable conversation, and where I did not act very kindly to my sister over, we do a lot of Marco Polos to each other. That's how we primarily communicate, during the week. And
I have no idea what a Marco Polo is.
So it's a video messaging app.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and so you just record a message, you send it to them.
My friend Tracy has used that before. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's great because you can also, as somebody's recording something, you can do a little interruption video recording about what they were saying, so you don't forget what they had said. And
okay,
anyway, so that's primarily, she's up in Jersey, so I'm down here. That's primarily how we communicate. And she'd been struggling with some stuff, and I thought I had said some things that were very insensitive because she was very upset with me with how I said something, and that was ruminating in my head. So I wrote everything out and realized what I need to do is walk towards the stuff that's making me uncomfortable. And one of those things was reviewing because you can review all of the video messages that you send to somebody and then what they've sent you in the Marco Polo app.
Okay.
And I had sent her a few of them and she had sent me a few of them. And I was like, before I respond, because I was feeling the need to really almost beg for forgiveness, because in my mind, I thought I was really, because I can be very aggressive at times, especially with my sister. I have been very preachy in the past, and I've been working on that. So I thought this was another case of me just being a little too preachy and not being kind or sensitive. And I went back and I was like, I don't want to. I mean, some of these messages were like 10 minutes long. You can speed them up. It's kind of nice in the app. You can go 2 times, 3 times speed. So I'm like, before I let myself ruminate and destroy myself about what I did, let me go re-listen and watch all of this whole conversation's interaction. And I did, and I wouldn't take anything back. I was kind, and I said, what I thought I had said, I didn't say. I didn't say it in that way. I didn't say it in that tone. And when I was watching myself, I realized I wasn't being aggressive. I was being very kind. And I've put things in a very helpful context for her. And she was just struggling a lot. And so I could see her overreacting to my comments. And I realized, you know what, she's not going to be upset with me based on my follow-up polos and everything else. And so it just went to show that my brain immediately went to worst case scenario until I forced myself to get uncomfortable and go, all right, let's reassess what this situation was. Same thing with, my IT business. There was basically we've been struggling with some cash flow issues, and I was really concerned that it was much worse than it actually is. And it was an uncomfortable conversation I was going to have with my business partner. It didn't turn out that way. It was very helpful, and I feel a whole lot better about it now. And so one of the things that I put together in my bullet journal was a list of steps that I can take when I'm feeling overwhelmed. And the very first one I realized was, get organized, understand all the things that you have to do, take some time out, write them all out, figure out what's most important. And for me, it was, resolving this tension, these things that were ruminating in my head. And I did that. And that led me to then be able to focus on the next most important thing. And so I just kind of made a list of these other things. And I also made a list of activities that helped me get to that point of just reducing my emotional feelings, which was, one of them was actually going for a little walk around the block. Ironically, that we're talking about this now.
Nice. Yeah, I've one of the biggest pieces of advice that I like to give people and then ignore in my own life is the idea that almost all the time we try to use the same brain that gets us into trouble to get us out of trouble, and we don't realize that the same brain that has come up with either this unhealthy habit or this addiction or whatever it is, this illness of anxiety, depression, whatever it is, it's like all we have is our brain. And when we have a brain that gets us into these difficult patterns, all we think we can do is rely on the same brain to get us out of them. And it's like, how is that supposed to work? I mean, if you had a calculator that always would give you the wrong answer when you try to add up a couple of numbers, and then you think, okay, I'm getting the wrong result, let me pull out my favorite calculator and try to add this up again, and then you expect it to give you something other than the wrong result, even though you only have the one calculator.
So how do we get a new calculator? How do we change that calculator, aka brain,
right,
so that we're getting a different answer?
The only thing that I've come up with is either people you trust or systems you trust that you're willing to rely on more heavily than you're willing to rely on your own brain.
Yeah. I mean, for me, writing this list of things to do in the overwhelm, a lot of this is common sense stuff, right? It's, it's going for a walk. It's, doing some belly breathing. It's, talking to a friend, things that are very obvious when you're feeling good.
Exactly.
But I was looking at this, and we talked about, kind of how can you be your future butler? I looked at that as another thing that is, hey, my future self isn't going to be in the right state of mind to have these come into my brain and think of them and actually do them. So even though this seems really basic and I shouldn't even bother wasting my time writing this down, I did it anyway.
Right.
And now I've got a nice little list. I've got a page of stuff now. And so if one thing doesn't feel right, I can at least read through it and go, okay, well, this one will work here. This one won't right now.
Right.
And it just makes, it's a minor little difference in terms of the amount of energy you need to spend, because you don't have to sit and think of it there, but you're saving it, just having that list and just being able to read it and use it in the future. But it's kind of like food prep too. Yeah. Could you make meals, at the time? Yeah. And is it that much of a difference? Not really, but you don't think it is. It's going to be when you're in a good and healthy state of mind. But when you are hurting and you are low on energy and you just need to execute, you don't want to have to think anything. You just want to do the mechanical work of doing something. Having that stuff laid out in front of you, for me, has been super helpful.
Yeah. I mean, it really feels like there's almost no other way it could work, right? I mean, you have to, if you don't come out with some way to separate yourself from your instincts, your reactions. It's like, yeah, I just started a new book this morning that I happen to have right here, called "Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before" by Dr. Julie Smith. And yeah, one of the first techniques in it that she recommends is, talk about what you're experiencing in the moment by separating it from yourself, by saying, I'm currently thinking these thoughts, or I'm currently feeling these emotions, because you're able to then think of it in terms outside of it being the objective truth of reality.
Right. Labeling what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of saying this is the way the universe is right now, it's more of this is the way I'm seeing this, or this is the way that I'm feeling this, because then it gives you the ability to say, okay, then this is, if you can keep that, and that's one of the things that I think mindfulness meditation is good for, helping you separate the subjective from the objective, and realizing that the things you experience are not necessarily the way things are.
That's great.
So yeah, I feel like that's something that I've had a week of not being able to do as effectively as I would like to, is being able to look and say, okay, this is the way things are versus this is the way I'm feeling them right now, and notice and being able to notice in real time that there's a difference there. That's very difficult for me to do, to step back and say, okay, well, wait a second. I'm experiencing something that may not be the way it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not an easy skill to develop. At least for me, it hasn't been, because, part of it is these, we develop these coping mechanisms and these defense mechanisms where it's like, okay, I have to trust my brain over what other people in my life are telling me that they're doing or that they're feeling, because it feels necessary for survival. You know what I mean? To be able to see through what somebody's telling you, or what somebody is promising you, and see the way that they actually are. Being able to see through that, you develop this necessity to trust yourself and the way that you're able to interpret people's emotions and intentions beyond what they're telling you, because that's a way that when you have a bit of chaos in your childhood, you have to develop those skills to feel like you can survive. And then 40 years later, you find yourself in friendships and relationships with people where you're still relying on those broken paradigms and those broken defense mechanisms, and you can't turn them off. I mean, that's one of the things we covered a lot in No More Mr. Nice Guy, and Glover also talks about it a lot in his other book that we haven't covered yet, but I'm sure we will someday. So yeah, it's a challenge to get around those.
Yeah, and I think it's a challenge too, because for me, I'll speak for myself here, is I tend to be a little impatient at times and not want to, and just kind of want to move on from something and, assess it, and figure it out and then move on. And at the same time, kind of what you're talking about here is the fear that your instincts and what you're kind of picking up initially, that could be wrong, is also a little bit of an uncomfortable feeling. Now, what I just kind of thought of as you were talking about this is, maybe we don't say that we're wrong, but maybe we say that we just need to get more information. And it doesn't necessarily mean that our initial feelings are all wrong.
That's fair.
But maybe, and I'm thinking for myself here, is it might be easier, and it kind of goes back to what my mom was telling me, slow down. If I slow down and go, okay, look, I don't need to make a decision right now. Maybe I should just, and I'm not necessarily wrong, but it would behoove me, like that word behoove, to get more information. And so in order to do that, you need to take a little bit of time. Maybe you need to create those thoughts about the situation in a different format outside of your brain. So whether that's journaling about it, writing it down, talking to somebody else about it, looking at it from a different angle might be able to give you some more ideas about it and bring in more information, so you actually feel like you're making a more informed choice. And again, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily wrong to begin with,
right?
But I would feel more solid about that initial feeling if I have a little more background information to support that or to negate it and go, okay, well, maybe I wasn't right about this. But for me, the challenge is remembering to slow down and remembering to bite my tongue sometimes,
right?
And give myself that time, even though I feel like I don't have enough time to do anything else. How do we make that time? That's the challenge.
Yeah, because I mean, for us in particular, living in 2022 in the US, in the West, and whatever, it's like I think our 100,000-year-old brains tell us too frequently that things that are coming to our attention and bothering us have to be addressed immediately or we're going to die.
Yes.
Where in most cases, that is so far from the truth. It's like almost everything that you have that comes up in your life in safe 2022 America, you could take a minute to control your breathing and control your nervous system reactions and say, all right, let's slow down and give this some thoughts from the front of our brain instead of the back of our brain, and try to understand exactly what we're dealing with here and how urgent or how dangerous it really is, and not how it feels in the moment.
Yeah. And that's just another good reason to practice that, even when you aren't feeling that way, is become an expert in doing that, whether that's through breath work or meditation or even
right.
Walking, actually, I would say, is a form of breath work as well. But, it's being able to slow down a little bit and take that and develop the skills to then recognize how to walk away and how to pause and give you that time and space. If you never practice those things, how do you expect to be able to do them when you're feeling super stressed emotional?
Right.
So if you can't do them when you're calm, cool, and collected, and you're like, oh, it's a nice morning, I'll go for a walk, there's no way you're going to remember, hey, to do that when your emotions are running rampant and you're crazy. Like, you don't stand a chance of being able to do that.
Yeah, really. When I think about it in those terms, it's like the only experience I have on a somewhat daily basis where I have to react the way that my brain and my body want me to react, it's pretty much only driving a car. I mean, other than like zooming down the interstate at 70 miles an hour, everything else I do all day, every day, I can take a minute and think about it before I react to it.
Yeah. You just got to practice it though. It's not what we naturally do. It's got to become like an innate behavior. That's not easy. Got to be intentional about that.
Yeah. That's crazy to think about though,
and we're fighting ourselves. Like you said, we're fighting our own brain in this. So our brain, our ancient brain keeps going to the like worst case scenarios all the time to protect ourselves. I mean, that's what it's designed to do. Thank you, brain, for doing that. But it doesn't serve us today in today's day and age and what we're doing.
No, and it doesn't lead to a meaningful life. It doesn't lead to a happy life. It just leads to life. It just keeps us alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the rest of it is what takes work. All right. Well, I'm glad we talked about that. Let's talk about some more exciting and/or happier stuff.
Yeah, shall we?
Let's see. What was it on Monday night? I want to say. I think it was Monday night. Let me check my bullet journal, and I can tell you exactly when it happened. Okay, so it looks like I didn't write it down. No, I did. Hold on. Just didn't write it down where I thought I did. Sunday night.
Okay. All right.
Night,
there we go.
I think I spent the night in the fanciest hotel that I've ever stayed in.
Ooh, where was this?
It was the new Swan Reserve Hotel at the Swan and Dolphin Complex over at Disney World.
Swan Reserve? Is this a new one?
They built a third hotel over there in addition to the Swan and the Dolphin. And boy, it was nice.
Yeah.
I definitely recommend checking it out.
Did it come with its own future butler?
It did not come with its own future butler. Well, I mean, I guess every hotel room kind of does, because you leave it a mess, point. And then
right, yeah,
before the next person comes in, it's clean again.
Yeah. Great point.
It did come with robes hanging in the closet, and I don't stay in a lot of hotels that have robes in the closet. But yeah, it was. It's very new. It's very nice, and their pool complex, you use the same one that the Swan and the Dolphin share, so it's just you have to cross a road to get there.
Really got to hang out with those peasants.
Yes, they it does have its.
When are they building their own reserve pool?
They have their own on the 3rd floor, so the roof of the 2nd floor. There's a pool there.
Oh, that's
but
what
it's not. About. It doesn't have the other one has 4 pools and 4 hot tubs.
All right, yeah, that's tough to compete.
So it's worth a little walk across the street to get to the other section. There's also a little grotto area where there's lounge chairs underneath some rocks, and I think there's a waterfall there and stuff like that.
Oh, so fantastic.
Yeah, so the Swan and Dolphin pool was really nice, and so it was worth the trek across a little 2-lane road. But they have a little place to cross where you just hit the button and it turns the traffic lights red so you can walk across.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, it's pretty easy. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Got to do some Disney parks and enjoy the pool, and the room I was in had views of both the Magic Kingdom and Epcot fireworks at 9 p.m. So I could see both of them from my room at the same time. I could watch both of them go off.
Awesome.
That was pretty great. What else?
Did you have a little balcony there? You could have some coffee out, and
every room has floor to ceiling windows. So like basically one whole wall of your room is just glass. So instead of a balcony, it had floor to ceiling windows. So that's I love a good balcony, but if you can't give me a balcony, I'll take a floor to ceiling window, And so that was pretty great. And then I'm also in the process of when we finish up now with our podcast, I am headed over to the Walmart in New Smyrna Beach to pick up a new smart TV. I picked up a 32-inch smart TV that I am going to be putting on a stand outside of my camper. So my little outdoor living area, I'm going to have a place with where I can turn my chairs around and watch TV outside, connect it to my Wi-Fi and have access to my Netflix, my Disney Plus and all that stuff. So I can sit, I might actually turn the chairs around and have it set up so that in between the TV and the chairs, I can have my little fire pit going.
That's the way to do it.
I know.
Outdoor movie theater.
Driving
at Charles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to pick up. I ordered a floor stand on Amazon where I can mount the TV and have it up. I ordered 2 sort of stereo to Bluetooth transmitters, so that depending on what I'm watching and how loud I want the volume and what time I'm watching it, myself and a friend could bond our AirPods to the transceivers, so we could sit there and have the listen to the movie or the TV show playing in our ears without my neighbors having to share the experience with me.
That's great.
And then I also found a very highly rated mosquito repellent system. It's called a Thermacell.
Okay.
Where I don't know exactly what the technology is. It's rechargeable with a 5.5 hour battery that you charge by USB.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently everybody agrees that when you turn this thing on, mosquitoes leave you alone.
You'll need to give me a full review about that. I would love to have that. I'm getting some work done on the outside area of my pool where I'd like to be able to hang out outside a little bit longer than usual. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah, this device is $36 at Target, and everybody says it works. It does what it's supposed to do.
Hey.
So, yeah.
Reviews do not lie most of the time.
I mean, yeah, if you have enough of them, they usually don't. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I know people can scam a little bit, but if you get into the thousands, then usually you're on pretty solid ground.
Yep. Yeah.
So, that's what I'm going to pick up the TV and the charger today. And again, the only Walmart that has the TV that I want is over in New Smyrna Beach. So I figured, I might as well head over there and spend a little time at the beach this afternoon, work up my tan a little bit. So I'm gonna do that today as well.
That sounds fantastic, man. We have to have a little housewarming or TV warming party at your place.
That sounds like a great idea. I have gotten behind on Billions. I didn't keep up with it all season. So definitely a few episodes behind on that. I'm currently working on Bridgerton season 2.
Have you finished Ozark?
No, I only watched the first season of Ozark.
I
stopped after season 1.
Oh no!
And then
you gotta get back. You are in for a treat.
I know it's a good show, and maybe I do need to. Maybe I'll make that one of the ones that I sit outside and watch on my new TV.
Quality stuff. I mean, the acting is.
Let's talk a second about TVs, by the way. So
sure,
the last TV I bought was a Sharp 40-inch, and that's when they first released that technology where they had yellow pixels and nobody else did. Everybody else had red, green, and blue, and then they added yellow pixels, which was supposed to be.
I was not aware of this.
It was supposed to be some big
groundbreaking technology.
That's what it was supposed to be. And so I bought that 40-inch TV right before the Lost finale, so that I would have a new TV for. Let's see what year that was, by the way. I need to see how old that TV would be now.
Another quality show, Lost. I watched that afterwards. I was not, so I was able to binge it at least.
The Lost finale was May 23rd, 2010. So that was the last TV purchase I got. That was a 40-inch LCD, not LED at that point. And then I paid $1,000 for that television.
Wow.
And the one that I bought this morning on Walmart is a 32-inch. It was $118 with, I'm sure, better resolution and better technology in every way. And it's a smart TV. The other one was not. And $118 plus a couple bucks for tax.
It's amazing what technology, how quickly technology improves.
It really is. And one of those ways that the world's getting better.
Yeah.
So I'll be headed to New Smyrna to pick that up after we finish up, and then my plan is to go spread out my beach towel and turn this pinkish alabaster skin of mine to a. I'll probably get burnt, but I'm gonna try to get some spray that will actually lead to a tan, not just a 3rd-degree burn. We'll see how that goes.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. This Italian Jewish heritage of mine betrays me every time I try to get some sun. It really does.
Maybe you need to do another DNA test.
I might. Yeah. I don't know what I actually am, but
you got some Irish.
Supposedly, I'm coming in there around 70% mix of Italian and Jewish, but you cannot tell by the way that I sun.
Okay. All right. Well, you're holding some good color in your face there a little bit. So
I don't know. If I feel pinker than I feel tan.
You're looking tan. I think you're just some tan. Yeah. It might be tough with that light. Looks a little tan. I think you're all right.
I wouldn't I look in the mirror and I see a freshly born pig.
Oh wow. We need to change your mirror or your perception. That is not accurate.
All right, fair enough. Okay. So
I just real quick, I did something cool last Friday. Our friend Andy invited me and a friend to go to Sideline Wine and Dine down here at the Florida Camping World Stadium.
I was going to ask you about that.
It was to benefit some K through 8 educational efforts. Basically, it's drinking and eating for a good cause, and they had a lot of local restaurants, Four Rivers, and a few other ones that basically making their delicious food. What was really cool was we were able to, for a small donation, hit golf balls into the middle of Camping World Stadium from the stands.
That's fun.
And what they did was they set up targets like they do at Topgolf. And if you hit the target, you got a chance to actually putt to win $10,000.
Whoa.
And we got some video of everybody hitting golf balls, and Andy was the one who actually paid for everybody to do it. We weren't going to do it, but he's like, no, this is a once lifetime opportunity. How many times are you going to be able to do this? And I was like, all right, let's do it. And he paid for the group of us to do it. Very, very generous.
Nice.
And one of the girls in the group hit the target, and so she got a chance to putt for $10,000.
Whoa.
It was a 50-foot putt, and you couldn't use. It wasn't like putt where you could bank it off the side or off the back, whatever. You needed to make it straight in as if you were actually golfing.
I'm sure they knew what they were doing then.
Yeah, and 50 feet is a lot further than I thought. Yeah. It was tough. Nobody made it, but had a great time. The food was great. The drinks were great. Walked away with a goodie bag. VIP is always, for a couple extra dollars, makes such a difference. You get full bar. You don't have to worry about, getting little tastes of stuff. But they had, cupcake places, and you could go up and down all three levels, and you were in all of the suites at the stadium. And that's where they set up. So you got the chance to see how all the suites were set up and hobnob with some of the more important people in Orlando. So it was a really great time. And then found a new karaoke place afterwards, not far from there. Yeah. And that was do you remember the name of it? Off the top of my head, I do not. I will get that over to you after the show. But it was not far from Baldwin Park, or it might have been right in Baldwin Park.
Interesting. Okay.
And great mix of crowd, old, young, every color and culture was represented there. It was not one kind of bar or another, which tends to happen sometimes. And it was a good time, and everybody was very happy, in a good mood. Wasn't any kind of egos going around or macho and stuff, but people were very inebriated and at the same time singing very well. This was not like the other place we know where they sit, where it's not so good for karaoke downtown. Yeah. People actually had some talent here. It was really good. So definitely a good time to go.
Yeah, definitely get me that place, because I like I said, I've never sang karaoke, but I do like sitting and watching other people do it. Now, I've not been to a karaoke bar to just watch it since I gave up drinking. So I wonder, if I'm sober and they're drunk, am I going to enjoy listening to them sing? We'll see.
Big Daddies, it's called.
Big Daddies. Okay.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about this week's topic and see how we feel about it. So one of the things that I suggested to you that does it for me, as far as I mean keeps me sane and healthy, is going for walks. So we covered the 2 sessions we did 2 episodes on journaling, which I would certainly put way up at near the top of the list, if not at the top of the list, for things I need to do. But going for walks is one of them as well. And I was doing some research on things to talk about regarding going for walks, and I found a great article on this Art of Manliness website, which I will certainly link to in the show notes, so that other people can enjoy this as well. But Brett McKay and his wife run the Art of Manliness website. This article is written by Jeremy Anderberg back at the beginning of 2020, which probably benefited a lot of people when going for walks was one of the only things you could really do in the middle of COVID, And so I'd like to go through their list of 20 things. If we have enough time to cover all 20, I think we probably can. Yeah. And then you and I can just sort of share our opinions on each of the items on the list. And
sounds good. Yeah.
So the first one is to walk frequently. And the point that they're making on that one is, try to go every day if you can. If you can't go walking for, multiple miles, just do a little bit. Like, I've got an area here where I can walk sort of around my block in my neighborhood. And I want to say it's probably around between 0.4 of a mile and half a mile. Mm-hmm. And I can usually get that done in, certainly 10 minutes or less to just do a loop. And even that little bit is something that reminds me of how much I enjoy it and how much I get out of it. So don't have this attitude of, well, if I can't walk 5 miles, then it's not worth going for a walk at all. Even if you can just get a few minutes in every day, I definitely recommend that. And then the second part is, or the second item, which kind of goes hand in hand, is I put a lot more value, and I'll bet you would as well. Walk outside. I mean, if you have to walk on a treadmill just because, you know, you're participating in some kind of a step challenge or something like that, then I get it. But it's not really the same activity if you're doing it on a treadmill compared to if you're doing it outdoors.
I mean, yeah, humans, we're meant to be outside. I mean, we evolved being outside and living outside. So there's also health benefits to being outside. So why spend more time indoors than you have to? And yeah, he does talk about, you know, if weather is if it's horrible weather that, you know, you can't be outside, that's fine. But I agree. You get so much more stimulation too, in terms of being able to look at things and think about things in that big open space by being outside.
Yeah. And I would draw a distinction between two things, because I have found myself in a position where either because of, I mean, it's funny, in Florida, I'll make some accommodations for weather. And I don't just mean that it's rainy, and I certainly don't mean that it's cold. If it is repressibly hot outside, and say dressed for work, I'm not in shorts and a tank top. One thing that I do that I find way better than walking on a treadmill is sometimes I'll go to a big shopping mall and walk around one of those.
Oh, that's a great idea. I love that.
At least in that experience, at least I'm being around people, and I'm observing other people walking and relating to the people that they're with and stuff like that. Where on a treadmill, it's just pretty much eyes forward. You're looking at the little panel. Maybe you're at a gym, so you're watching a TV. I definitely put walking in a shopping mall with other humans way above a treadmill, but still below being outdoors. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And to talk about the point one about walking frequently, for me, even minimizing it even more in terms of the amount of, the amount of effort, for you, 10 minutes is, you're like, oh, that's just a little one. It's not worth it. For me, I get to the point of where I just need to walk. I get so overwhelmed with stuff and I forget to, do my routines or whatever. If I just go, all right, I'm going to go and get the mail and I have to walk outside because my mailbox is across the street.
Yeah.
So usually, I'll do one block around to get the mail, but other times sometimes I'm just like, I don't even have time for that, or I don't feel like I have time. Of course I have time for that. But if I just walk outside and get the mail, just that tiny little walk helps me remember how good it feels. And that sometimes is enough for me when I'm on the fence about, should I go for this walk or not? I'll remember that feeling and I'll be like, oh, okay, let's do this. Let's go. If I remember how good it feels.
Yeah. One of the things he says about the weather is that there is no bad weather. There's only bad clothes.
I saw that. That's great.
I like that.
Yeah.
And, because a lot of the times when I'll go on my little solo vacations in autumn or in winter, and people say, why would you go visit Chicago in the wintertime? It's so cold. It's like, the cold does not bother me if I have the clothes that are prepared for dealing with cold weather. It doesn't bother me at all if I'm dressed appropriately for it. So the lesson here is, if it's too hot to, stop when you're dressed for work, then go home, throw on a tank top and some shorts and go for your walk. And if it's rainy, then just throw on a rain jacket. I have no problem with walking or doing things in less than ideal conditions, because in a lot of cases you can prepare for those conditions and minimize the negative impact on yourself. Another thing that is discussed is wearing comfortable shoes. I happen to be wearing my favorite walking shoes right now, so I will untie one and hold it up. One of my favorite brands of comfortable shoes for walking or hiking is Merrell, and I forget. I'll look up what the name of these are, but this is my walking shoe. I got these for a recent trip. Well, last summer, I went to Maui, and I got these guys to wear as pretty much my general all-purpose shoe. I brought a pair of sandals. I brought 2 pairs of sandals, and I brought these, and that was pretty much, I was able to wear those for every circumstance. And
now, were you chewing gum in Maui?
No, why?
because there's something on the bottom of your shoe there.
Oh, it's a piece of paper.
Oh,
piece of paper. That's all it was.
It was kind of hanging down when you showed it the camera. I was like, oh.
Oh yeah, no. Thankfully, oh god, gum on my shoe drives me insane because
how about toilet paper when you're coming out of the bathroom? Has that ever happened to you? Where it's kind of stuck to the bottom of your shoe, or just make fun of other people when that happens?
I don't remember that happening. I'm sure it's happened to me, but I don't remember a case.
It's happened to me a couple times
when it has, but I'm sure that it did. I'll look up the model that this is, and I'll share that as well. But this is my favorite walking shoe. Whenever I go to a city where sneakers are appropriate, I wear these. There's also two pairs. There's a pair of lace-up boots that I wear that the last time I went to New York City, and I was getting 30,000 steps a day, and I was wearing these lace-up, dressy-looking boots, and my feet felt perfect at the end of the day. They were so comfortable, and I think I only spent $60 or $70 for them on Amazon. So I will link.
What brand was that?
Nunn Bush. N-U-N-N.
Oh yeah. All right.
B-U-S-H.
I have a pair of regular shoes from them, and they were very comfortable.
Yeah, their dressy looking boots are extremely comfortable, and I can put on many miles and not feel any foot fatigue whatsoever. So I mean, I think it goes without saying that none of these companies are giving me a damn dollar to talk about their stuff, but I am a big fan of the things that I'm a big fan of, and I love researching and making good purchases and then trying them out.
Well, let's review we can trust then.
Yeah, these walking shoes and my boots, I'm a big fan of those. So I will share links for both of them. So wear comfortable shoes, because if you wear terrible shoes, you're going to get tired of walking and you're not going to want to do it anymore. And there's no reason to do that. The other thing is socks are important. I, generally speaking, if your feet sweat a lot, which mine don't, I don't have too much of a problem with foot sweat, but cotton socks are terrible for that. They make it way worse. So wool or synthetic is the way to go. And I usually go synthetic because I find them to be a bit more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Merino wool socks are nice. I have a couple pairs of those that I've gotten from REI, and they're really comfortable, but they're also really expensive compared to synthetic. So I usually stick with synthetic socks. Mm-hmm. But if you're searching on Amazon or at REI, even if it's just for walking around your neighborhood, look for things that are labeled as hiking socks and go with. In Florida, I do lights or ultralights instead of heavy, instead of medium, and they're great. So yeah, I like spending a little bit of extra money on comfortable socks.
So if you're looking for a gift for Charles,
yeah, well, see, that's the thing. That's what makes me so
comfortable
hard to buy.
Socks.
That's what makes me so hard to buy for, is because I've already got my favorite version of everything.
Yeah,
and so toward the end of my marriage, my mother-in-law just started buying me Amazon gift cards, and I was so thankful for it, because then I could buy the thing that I want. Mm-hmm. And it was great. So yeah, for me, it's tough because receiving gifts is a love language for me, but I'm also impossible to shop for.
Oh, so, you're a problem child.
I really am.
Goodness.
Yeah. So another love language is physical touch. So just if you can't figure out what to buy me, just give me a nice quality hug.
Oh, very sweet.
That only has to last for 45 minutes or an hour.
Oh wow.
which then becomes quality time. So there you go. All right. So rule number 6 is leave your phone at home. No, thank you. I do not do this ever.
Right.
Because I have too many books to listen to and too many podcasts to get through. I am happy to not use my phone. Now, where I live, I have really terrible cell phone coverage. So my phone is pretty much useless for exchanging calls or texts or browsing apps or anything like that when I'm walking. So when I walk around my neighborhood, my phone is only good for listening to stuff. It is not good for doing anything. So I won't even get an email or a text if I'm out walking around. So it's bad for that, which I think makes it good for walks. Mm-hmm. Rule 7 is, if you do take your phone, opt out of headphones. Again, no thank you. I want my phone with me. Without the headphones, then my phone does nothing for me on the trip. I could leave it home if it weren't for the fact that I was listening to podcasts, books, rarely music, almost never music. It's almost always podcast or books. Rule number 8 is ignore rule number 7 on occasion. which means, okay, occasionally you can listen to stuff. But again, this whole 6, 7, 8 section I choose not to let it apply to me. What's your take?
I love the fact that he basically talks about 6, 7, and 8 terms of bring your phone if you want to, leave it at home if you don't want to, if you want to. And I that's why I appreciated this article, because it helped me feel like you can't do walking wrong.
Right.
And you can't, do it the way it serves you. And it's the same concept as the bullet journal, which is there's so many different ways you can do it. You got to figure out what works for you and realize that's the value. And to me, it's on a little bit of a deeper level where it's kind of like, stop comparing yourself to these other people and all the other stuff that you're seeing out there. Compare yourself to yourself and your previous, yourself yesterday. And just a reminder that, to take the time to do what works for you and try to remove all of those shoulds that we have in our own mind about we should do this, we should do that, which is basically information that we're judging ourselves by, that we pulled from somewhere else outside of ourselves. And so I really like the fact that he's just like, don't bring your phone, but if you want to, go ahead. Yeah. And I'm the same way as you. I always want to bring my phone, but sometimes I do find myself turning off whatever I'm listening to let a thought and an idea brainstorm and ruminate. And I've said ruminate way too many times this podcast. Could you edit that out? Give me another word here. Oh my gosh, I sound like a cow. I'm ruminating on everything. So thinking about something else, and that sometimes I need to stop whatever I'm listening to and give myself the space to think it through.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I really like these next 2 rules. Number 9 is to walk a regular route when you're feeling stuck.
I like that one too. Yeah.
And then number 10 is walk a novel route when you're feeling restless. So if you need to focus your walk on thinking about a problem that you're trying to solve, then one thing to take out of the equation is worrying about which way you're going to go. Just go a way that you're used to and that you don't have to think about.
Yeah.
Where if you're feeling a bit restless, then go ahead and inject some novelty in by going a way that you don't usually go or that you haven't gone before.
Yeah. I kind of look at that as the same concept we talk about when you're feeling anxious, take action.
Right.
And so that when it's a novel route, you're basically kind of you're getting stimulation. And same thing when you're feeling anxious, you're getting some sort of stimulation by taking physical action, or you're moving around. I think this, it's a similar concept. I like that a lot.
Yeah, me too. The next rule, 11, is bring a coffee or grab one from a cafe. If you can, if you walk in an area where you've got access to stop by your corner cafe. Here's kind of what I usually do when I go for my walks in the morning. I told you I usually do a lap around my neighborhood. And what I do is typically I'll do 3 of them, because that gives me enough steps where I feel like that puts me in range where I will get my 10,000 steps without having to do anything extra the rest of the day if I do 3 of those laps.
I like that.
Yeah. So what I'll do is, before I leave for my first lap, I'll start my coffee maker. And then when I finish my first lap, between laps 1 and 2, I'll pour myself a cup of coffee. And then lap 2, I'll walk around sipping my coffee. And then I'll usually come back, and before lap 3, I'll eat a quick, either I'll make myself breakfast, like I'll do some scrambled eggs real quick or something like that doesn't take long, or I'll just grab an apple, and then I'll have a snack before lap 3. So between laps 1 and 2, I'll get my coffee, and between laps 2 and 3, I'll eat a snack or eat a small breakfast, and then it sort of breaks it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But then by the end of my walking experience, I've had my morning coffee, I've had my morning breakfast, and I've gotten, somewhere around a third of my steps in for the day.
That's interesting. You're recreating the marathon experience where people are, running by and handing them cups of water.
Yeah, a little bit.
Except in that Seinfeld episode, if you remember that, where Kramer is drinking a cup of coffee and he kind of holds his hand out, and the guy that was staying with Jerry to run that marathon grabs it thinking it's water and splashes it in his face, and it's hot coffee.
Yes.
Oh, and that was the separate knob, because he was waking up. He woke up late with the alarm, because the alarm was a separate knob. It didn't go off. They didn't set the alarm because it was a separate knob on the old school alarm clocks.
Yeah.
Why separate knob? Why?
That's like the third episode. That's a third reference to either Seinfeld or Curb Your Enthusiasm that I've had this week. And everybody keeps telling me, some people that I agree with on what is funny have told me this week that I've got to get into Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I think so far I've only watched the first episode. I've never really gotten into the show.
Yeah. You liked Seinfeld, right?
Love Seinfeld.
You will love Curb. It is like Seinfeld on steroids.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, Larry David was the inspiration for George, right?
Yes. Yeah. And the minutia and the making mountains out of molehills that happened in Seinfeld happens with Curb to a very uncomfortable level, to where it's hysterical.
Nice. Okay.
You will love it. I guarantee you'll love it. Yeah.
All right. So rule 12 is embrace your inner child. Stomp through some leaves, jump in some puddles, check out the cool bug. For me, it's two things. Usually animals that I observe on my walk. I spend too much time getting pictures and video of animals. Well, not too much time, an adequate amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, if I find a rock in the path, then I will try to see how long I can keep kicking it along with me on my walk before I kick it too far off the path that it's not worth going after.
Wow, you're old school. Kick the can. All right. How old?
Old school, even older school. Kick the rock.
Kick the rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before cans are invented, right?
Exactly. Don't forget sunglasses, which is a mistake I usually make. But fortunately, since I stopped by my camper between laps 1 and 2 and laps 2 and 3, it allows me to say, oh, I need to grab my sunglasses. The other thing is, if I walk early enough in the morning, it's not required. If I get out there and start walking before sunrise, then no worries.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. Walk with a companion. Rule 14 is referring to a human companion. If you've got a partner or a friend that you live near, then great, go for walks with them. If you don't, then by all means walk alone. If you have some kids, you can certainly take them. I imagine taking a dog would probably be here on the list somewhere. I believe. Does it talk about later?
Yeah, I think so. But I got an idea. I want to try with you is, let's get on like a Zoom, and I can walk here, you walk by your place at the same time, and see how that feels. I
told you I don't have any data where I walk.
Oh,
so we can't.
All right. So after you move,
right,
or we'll find a different path for you to go on, or something like that. I'm just wondering how that would go. I'm curious. Well,
now I'm wondering.
Have someone on video, and yeah.
Now I'm wondering, is there some sort of a neck mount that you can put your phone in so that you can do?
I bet Amazon's got it. Neck mount for, yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, we can maybe for our for that brainstorming session that we scheduled, you and I can both go for walks, and we can do it.
Let's try it
with our headphones in, and with some sort of a neck mount for our phone. I'm going to Amazon right now to check.
I'm looking right now.
Are they out there?
Hold on. They are. Yes. Selfie neck mount holder. Oh yeah. Oh, there's quite a few options here too.
Oh yeah, I see some. Wow, one of them's at Walmart for $4.88.
Wow, I would not go with that one. Oh, but these are okay. All right, sorry. We're in the middle of a podcast.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Real professional of us, right?
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. Cricket.
Let's go back to the. All right. Let's see. So, walk with a companion. Walk with your family. Walk by yourself, which is embrace the solitary walk, which is for the most part the only walk that I do. Unless I'm on a Disney trip and I'm walking with a friend there.
Yeah.
Get your heart rate up at least some of the time. Meaning speed walking or rucking, load up a backpack with a bunch of weight and walk around with that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. None of those seem appealing to me. I mean, occasionally I will bump up my speed so that I can get my walks in at around an 18-mile-minute pace. My normal walks, my leisurely walks are 20 minutes, but sometimes I'll bump it up to get 18 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's whatever your intention is, right? I mean,
Right.
Why are you going on that walk? I mean, some days, if you're feeling good, you don't need to solve anything, or bump it up and get that heart rate up once in a while. It's great. Other times I don't have the capacity. It's like, that's not why I'm out here. I got to solve some problems, or I need to feel better about something. And the last thing I want to do is like overly exert myself physically.
Right. I like the advice of bring a pocket notebook. If you do find value in leaving your phone at home because you don't want to be distracted with incoming, alerts and data and stuff like that, then at least bring a notebook where you can jot down ideas that you have. For me, again, because of where I'm at and the fact that I don't have data, then I just pop open the Notes app on my iPhone or Evernote, and if something occurs to me, then I'll put it in there.
Yeah.
And then, like we talked about last time, then I'll bring it home and put it in my bullet journal.
Yeah, and I mean, with technology, I am much better talking about my ideas or whatever's coming to my mind. Way it's a lot faster than me typing it out. So I can get all of that recorded down a lot more quickly in Evernote than, with my chicken scratch handwriting on a pocket notebook. And, between that and the coffee and everything else, and I mean, and the rucking, I mean, I don't, I have to bring a whole backpack for all these, all these things, right? The dog leash and, whatever, I mean, the dog. So yeah. I usually bring my phone.
Yeah, I like the I'm gonna start doing that as well. I'm moving the Evernote icon to my front page. And
an upgrade. Evernote's gotten upgraded.
Evernote is getting an upgrade. I took the Disney World Experience app. I moved that back to the travel folder, and so I'm putting Evernote on the front page with my
prime real estate.
Yeah, with that place where I dump stuff that I need to record when I don't have my bullet journal with me. And I will experiment with not only typing things into that note, but also recording stuff into that note as well.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember, I don't know if I have the subscription model of Evernote or the free model. Can you do the voice recording on both?
I think so.
Okay, cool. I will research that over the next week and let you know.
I think that the free one is you don't get as much text per page, and you can't share it. I think, and that's the last.
Yeah, number of devices to sync to as well.
Right.
You get I think you get one phone and one PC, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, so rule 19: don't constantly track your data. Meaning, I think what that's saying is you don't have to track every walk. You can just walk for the sake of having a walk. It doesn't always have to be, you don't have to tell your watch or your phone that you're going into exercise mode. You can just go for a walk. So, but certainly, if you're participating in a challenge of some sort, I get the idea of wanting to track all that. And I sympathize. I'm getting ready to, get back into way better and see what I want to maybe I'll start something up this next week, challenge,
I did invite you to the run challenge I think it's in 2 weeks, or not this Monday, the Monday after that. And it's not bad. It's like the first week's only 3 15-minute runs. The next week's only 2 15-minute runs and a 20-minute run. So it's it's not even as aggressive as that 5K challenge that I did.
Right. I will. The one thing I noticed about that one that you invited me to is the number of people in it was pretty low, which makes me wonder if if I do win.
Oh, don't do it for the money. Don't do it for the money. I mean,
I don't do it just for the money, but the more people that are involved in it, I feel like
29 players. Yeah.
The more people that are likely to drop out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my experience with all 2 of the Way Better challenges that I've done it's been about 10% of the people drop out. And
that's it.
So
really?
yeah, the last two that I did, the 5K and that was a 6 week, and my push-up challenge, which is 4 weeks, both of them, it's been 10%. And that's what I made. I mean, maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah. So you're not doing it for definitely not doing it for the money.
No, but more like, I don't want to be one of the people who's been eliminated, because that'll show how many people have been eliminated. And I'm kind of like, well, I don't want to be one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, I don't know if running is what I want to get into or one of the walking ones. So I'll give it some thought though.
Yeah. Well, if you find a good walking one, let me know.
Okay, we'll do.
I may want to do that.
So then the rule 20 is kind of getting back to one of the other ones, which is longer, short, fast, or slow, just walk. So, just decide that this is a thing that you find important and you want to do. And why don't you drop us a tiny habit tidbit on, if you decide, okay, I want to go from being a guy that doesn't walk to being a guy that does walk. What's one of the things to sort of anchor that to?
So I would say anchor that to where you have some time. So that's really, because it really time in your schedule, right? So maybe that's lunchtime, maybe that's before breakfast, maybe it's after breakfast. Figure out how long you want to walk for and tie that to something, where you have the time in your schedule. And even if it's evening, maybe it's evening after dinner. I mean, walking is really beneficial after you eat. Really, it helps with digestion. And yeah, so I would say maybe around a meal, and say, okay, after the meal, we're going to go, we're going to go for a walk, and, start out small, just around the block. So because you got to remember, now you may want to change. You may want to, you don't necessarily have to, but you may want to change into some different clothes. That's going to take, that's a little bit of effort. That's something to think about, adding that time into your schedule. That's going to be, so start out maybe just walking around the block after a meal, and just try to do that 4 or 5 times in a row and in a week. And if that starts to get easy, then look at going a little bit longer, maybe.
Yeah, I like that. That makes sense.
And do something fun. I mean, bring, if a podcast you want to listen to, like this one, or if there's a new album that was just released that you want to listen to, get something that you're going to kind of reward yourself a little bit, and something enjoyable to do along that walk, where you normally wouldn't do that, or you need to kind of squeeze that in somewhere else.
Yeah, this idea of do this new thing that you want to do, but don't put the pressure on yourself to say, making this healthy choice is its own reward. It's like, yes, it is, but go ahead and add another reward on top of it.
Yeah. Well, right. Well, here's the thing too, is you're not going to feel like you said, if you're not going 3 miles, well, what am I getting out of it? If you're doing it for health, well, you need to build up to that. Right. So this is the prep work to get to that point, right down the road. Look at this as an experiment. So maybe it doesn't work after breakfast. All right. Maybe you're a little too busy, but treat it as an experiment and go, okay, well, this isn't working. Don't just give up on it. We'll try it after lunch, try it after dinner,
right,
and figure out what works for you. Look at it as an experiment. This is something new, and it will get easier and easier and easier as you find ways to do it.
Yeah, that does make sense. And that does sound like something that will help people to decide that this is the thing they want to do. And here's one of the ways that you can make it more doable than just deciding to, I got to wake up an hour early so I can get my walk in. It's like, maybe that works for you. Maybe it doesn't. Don't pin this idea of, well, I want to start walking, but I'm not willing to completely blow up my schedule and make my life difficult in ways that are unsustainable just so that I can walk. It's like, find a way to make it work for you.
Exactly. And the key is the consistency,
right?
Just like brushing your teeth is something most people do every day. If you do it enough times, it becomes funny or weird when you don't do it. If you've been doing it long enough, and that's a good sign. It's, hey, that's part of my routine. That's just what I do. It's who I am. And then you can build from that if you want to.
Exactly. And there, I mean, look, over the last year, there have been a lot of either hobbies or habits or practices that I decided, hey, maybe this is something that I want to add to my life. And then I try it out for a while, and, I give it a good shot. I give it a fair hearing. And then I decide, you know what? No, it's not for me. and there doesn't need to be guilt tied to that decision.
It's hard to not feel guilty. I do too. I'm like, oh, I started this. I had, this was supposed to be the best intentions, and then I end up not doing it. And then, in the past, I would feel guilty about it. Through experience of reading some stuff, I realized it's treated as an experiment. It's okay that it's not working.
Exactly. Yeah. It doesn't, everything doesn't have to take hold and be something you do for the rest of your life. It just doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. It's things you could do and then come back to, and that's the way it works.
Absolutely. All right, cool. Well, I enjoy walking. I enjoy talking about walking, and I enjoyed this chat with you, Dan. So let's get out there and go for some walks. And
all right,
we could talk about how each week we could talk about how our journaling and our walking and whatever other things we decide to talk about are going for us. I have spent at least about a week religiously carrying my bullet journal with me wherever I go, and it has definitely made scheduling things and looking forward to things easier than they have been in the previous couple of months.
Yeah, I've been bringing it with me in more places, even just around the house, and just having it right in front of me has made a difference versus going, oh, I should check in my bullet journal, but that's in the other room in the office. I want to go and get it. But just having it right there, even when I'm eating meals and stuff like that, has definitely made me use it more, and has made me feel a little bit weird when it's not around me. So I agree with that.
Awesome. All right. Cool.
I can't wait for our iPhone neck holders. So that'll be
exciting, right? maybe we'll do a podcast that way sometime soon.
Let's do it. All right.
We'll walk around for the whole thing. All right, cool, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for spending time with us on the Mindfully Masculine podcast. If you liked the episode, or you think it would be useful for someone else, please leave us a review and join the Mindfully Masculine group on Facebook. Remember, fellas, don't act masculine, be masculine.